The Neo Geo was an awesome arcade machine that truly left its mark on game players when it was released way back in 1990. It featured the best microprocessor ever created, the Motorola 68000, running at 12 MHz. It had 64 kilobytes of RAM with a resolution of 320 by 224 pixels, and had the ability to display 3,840 colors on screen at once from a palette of over 65,000. Now that's truly amazing. What really sets the Neo Geo apart, though, are the gargantuan cartridge sizes. And SNK certainly didn't care how big those games got because those cartridges were expensive, with the cheapest one being around $200. Now there's three versions of the original Neo Geo: the MVS, or Multi-Video System, which is the arcade machine, the AES, or Advanced Entertainment System, which is the home version, and the Neo Geo CD, where the games come on, well, you guessed it, cheaper CD-ROMs. The games between these systems were roughly the same, with only a few differences when brought home. And now I want to play some Neo Geo games that I personally, myself, have totally forgotten even existed. Starting with Andro Dunos. I think that's how you say it. This is an interesting shooter with some anime-style graphics. Well, at least the spaceships look kind of anime. Your ship is just so cute. Anyway, I think this one has a rather unique weapon system. You can change between 4 different weapons anytime you want, and you can get power-ups to increase the weapon that you're currently using. Hold down the fire button to charge, and then fire the mega weapon. Using it will decrease your weapon's strength, and I think you only get to use that mega weapon once per game. To get more, you have to continue, I think. I wasn't able to get more than one to fire on a single quarter. Aside from that, it's a pretty fun but standard shooter, and, you know, I liked it. Blazing Star. This is an amazing side-scrolling shooter with a really annoying voice that says "bonus" every time you get an icon. Honestly, I stopped wanting to get them just because of that. This one has 6 different ships to choose from, each with different weapons. You can hold the fire button to charge your weapon, and the meter below shows just how powerful your blast will be. You see, when you get hit, your power meter goes down a notch. If you get hit with just 2 remaining, then you lose a ship. I really love the graphics in this game. They're so very detailed and nicely animated. The enemies and sprites are pre-rendered, which normally I don't care for, but in this case, they look pretty cool. I love this game. Breakers. Now here's a fighting game that I've never heard of. Yeah, I know of Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, Art of Fighting, Samurai Showdown, but not this one. Turns out it's extremely similar to Street Fighter 2, right down to the character selection. We have a Vega, a Blanca, a Ryu, and even a Dalsim. Good grief! The attacks are very similar too. There's strong attacks and quick attacks for both punches and kicks. It's a good idea to mix those attacks up if you want to win, because this game is cheap. I can whip up on an opponent for most of the round, only to have them come back and beat me. What the heck? Character graphics and animation is nice and detailed, as are the background graphics. But there's no line scrolling, which is really a surprise. The music is nice, but it's very muted for some reason. Overall, I really like this game. 8-Man. This is a really cheesy beat-em-up, or is it a beat-em-up? I mean, usually one punch takes out the enemies, which makes me feel more like this is a run-and-gun, but just with punches and kicks. You also have a super bomb that will destroy everything on the screen. You can pick up some extra super bombs, but when you do, I swear I hear the game say, "Superman." Here, take a listen. Sounds like Superman, right? There's also an 8 power-up that lasts a long time and helps you destroy everything that you touch. Not that you need it though, because this game is super easy. Even the bosses are a cinch. Fortunately, the graphics are very detailed and interesting to look at. It's a weird game, but, you know, I like it. Ganryu, or Ganryu? I don't know how to say this game. I guess this is a shinobi or a ninja spirit style game. You play as a ninja hacking and slashing your way through the stage to the boss. You can slash with your sword, throw shurikens, or attack with a swinging claw, kind of like Bionic Commando. This claw can help you get to areas that you can't jump to, and I love swinging on it. It's so much fun. Another cool feature here is that there are multiple ways to get to the end boss. Oh, and speaking of the boss, I was able to reach the first one, but it's really tough to beat. Maybe it would be a lot easier if you didn't die in only a couple of hits. I think this game would benefit from being just a little bit easier. Ghost Pilots. This one is a top-down shooter very similar to Raiden, or Raiden if you prefer that pronunciation. In fact, the similarities are striking in both graphic style and gameplay. Remember when Atari sued Magnavox over Casey Munchkin being too much like Pac-Man? Well, SNK should have got sued over this game, but I guess game companies are nicer nowadays, right? The main differences are the setting, which looks to be in World War II maybe, and also that you can choose from 2 different Mega Bomb types. One huge one, like Raiden, and another smaller one that can be directed wherever you want it to go. You can also collect S power-ups to increase your shot power. Graphics and sounds are great, and, you know, I like this one. Legend of Success Joe. Remember that NES game called Urban Champion? Well, this one kind of reminds me of that. It's kind of a weird brawler game where you start out battling punks on the streets, and then you get drafted into becoming a boxer. And then you fight that same boxer and his cronies in the locker room. Or maybe it's a different boxer, I don't know. The punches are weird. If you press right on the controller while punching, your character throws a very useless short punch. Thing is, that's my natural instinct to press right and move towards the opponent. Another annoying thing is how your energy doesn't reset between fights. I don't recall seeing that in any other game. Is that supposed to make this more realistic or something? I didn't find it to be fair. This is a strange game that I really didn't find that enjoyable. Nightmare in the Dark. What do you get when you make Bubble Bobble into a horror game? If you said anything but Nightmare in the Dark, you're wrong. In this game, you launch fire at your enemies until they turn into a ball of flame that you can throw around the screen. If that ball hits any other enemies, they're taken out. Hit multiple enemies at once for big points, which adds an element of strategy. You try to knock out the enemy at the top of the screen so that you can throw the fireball at the enemies below, or just go after the nearest one. You know, it's your choice. The sounds are good, but the music, it's terrible. It feels like it's on a 3-second loop, and it just drove me crazy. I do like the setting, because you don't see many games like this with a horror theme. This isn't a bad game, and I kind of liked it. Ninja Commando. Okay, here's one that's not too forgotten, but it's not in my regular rotation of Neo Geo games. I gotta say though, it really should be, because this game is awesome. It looks like a run and gun, but it's really more of a shooter because you can only shoot upwards. There are 3 different characters to choose from, each with different weapons and powers. Joe throws shurikens, Rayar shoots fire, and Ryu shoots, energy blasts, I guess? Pressing A and B together in a direction will shoot a powerful star at enemies. Oh, and of course they all have to have different super weapons. But what I really thought was cool were the transformations. I collected the scroll and Joe turned into a tiger that shot super lasers. Whoa! This game has great graphics, sounds, music, and gameplay, and I love it. Over top. Here we have a top-down racing game, something that there aren't too many of on the Neo Geo. At least I don't think so. It starts off pretty good. I mean, you've got multiple cars to choose from. I picked the red Ferrari F350. I mean, why not? And then the game starts, and I immediately wish I had picked a different game. Look at this. It just does not scream Neo Geo to me. The graphics are just so lifeless and flat. Sure, there's some detail here and there, but I've seen better graphics on the Super Nintendo. Music is repetitive, but at least it sounds clear. The big problem with the game is if graphics weren't enough, were the slippery controls. I think a steering wheel might have been better than a joystick. I did not care for this game. Dislike. Prehistoric Isle in 1930. Here's an interesting shooting game where you kill innocent dinosaurs? What? And then the first boss is a Brachiosaurus? One of the nicer dinosaurs? Okay, if that's what you want me to do, fine. Take that, dino. There's just a few power-ups here, but there's an option that you can move around your plane. You can press B to change the direction that the option shoots, which can be helpful when moving up or down, but for some reason it seems less powerful when shooting forwards. Alright, let's fight this boss here. Oh wow, well that's very helpful to know just how heavy that boss is. This is a decently fun game, but it does have some flat backgrounds and mediocre music. Still, you know, I'll give it a like. Pulstar. Now this is as blatant of an R-Type clone as I have ever seen, and really, you know, that's not a bad thing at all. You can power up your ship with different weapons, but of course the most important one is the rotating ball thing that absorbs most enemy bullets. Holding down the fire button and releasing will launch a powerful blast, which will be different based on the weapon that you currently have. There's lasers and pulse waves and missiles and green things. The backgrounds are nicely animated, and I love the pre-rendered look of the ships. Very nicely done. The sounds and music are also excellent, and the controls are absolutely perfect. This is a great one. I just love it. Sengoku. This one is a very odd Japanese fighting game. You battle enemies and then get transported up to, heaven, I guess? Once there, you battle Japanese warriors and other enemies set to creepy, otherworldly music. The fighting is just as janky as it looks. The hits are just not all that satisfying. And when an enemy dies, they make this weird screeching noise that reminds me of the Slayer's death sound from the movie Krull. Yeah, that one. Ugh. I do like it when you get weapons to fight with, like the dual swords, but they don't last very long. Lastly, I noticed this bikini girl and others in the game that are meant to distract you. Hey, it worked on me. I kept waiting to see the next one. Spinmaster. First of all, the name of this game is awful. It totally has nothing to do with the actual concepts of the game. I thought it was just about a kid with a yo-yo, but it turns out that's just the default weapon, and there are many more to use. Fireballs, bombs, ice shards, ninja shurikens, and boxing gloves are the ones that I found so far. And like many games on this list, there are mega bombs you can launch based on the type of weapon that you currently have. The graphics and animation are top-notch. The game just looks totally amazing. Sounds and music are great too. But the only downside, if you could call it a downside, is that the game is incredibly easy. But then again, that might just be because I have unlimited continues. This is one I absolutely love, and I will be coming back to this one for sure. Strikers 1945 Plus. This is a bullet hell shooter set in a pseudo-World War II era. You get to choose from 6 different types of planes, each with different weapons and special attacks. The game takes some liberties to make the enemies more interesting. For example, you never would see a boss like this in real life. I've come to really love these Strikers games because they offer great graphics and gameplay. They're also fairly easy, which I truly appreciate. The background graphics can look drab at times, but to me, that's really how it should look. The enemy bullets are brightly colored and gigantic, so if you get hit, it's really your own fault. It can be a good idea to use your special weapon or call in the cavalry or whatever it is when there's just too many bullets to avoid. They'll take the hits for you. This game is literally and figuratively a blast, and I love it. Super Dodgeball. I am a huge fan of the Nintendo NES version of this game. The Neo Geo version is a little bit different from the Nintendo game though. Here you can choose from different teams which all have 3 players, and when they get knocked out they move to the outside of the ring. Graphics are very bright and colorful, and the sounds and the music are nice, but I'm really not a fan of that constant zooming in and out. Also, this game plays so much different than what I'm used to. The pace is slower, and you use Street Fighter II motions to do these special attacks. Down, down, forward, forward, for example. Fortunately, each character has a different special attack, which can be quite devastating to an opponent. Although for some reason it's even more devastating when they're used against me. I swear I'm hitting that catch button over and over again, but it just doesn't matter. Overall, it's a pretty fun game, but I still prefer the NES version. The Irritating Maze. An action puzzle game where you move through a maze without touching anything while getting to the exit. Apparently pregnant women or those with cardiac disorders are cautioned not to play this game. Why is that? Maybe it's because the cabinet that I've seen uses a trackball, which obviously is just far too strenuous for pregnant women. Anyway, this game seems to work fine with my control pad, and it's probably the more accurate way to play. There's some creative obstacles to overcome, like the triple windmill and the moving aisle. This is a neat little game that lives up to its namesake, that's for sure. The Last Blade. This is a weapons-based fighting game with some excellent animation and background graphics. But I have to ask, what is offensive orgy mode? I don't know, maybe it's better left a mystery. Anyway, back to the graphics. I think this one does it right when it comes to the zooming in and out. I find it to be far less obtrusive than other fighters. Gameplay is fast, fun, and the hits feel substantial. And that's probably thanks to the great sound effects. There aren't too many fighters outside of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2 that I like, but this one was pretty cool, and I gotta say, I love it. Zed Blade. Here we have another side-scrolling shooter, and it's a good one. Once again, you can choose from different pilots and also different weapon styles for shooting forward, shooting missiles, and for shooting aft. The first thing I noticed besides the highly detailed graphics is the incredible music. Very high energy techno that reminds me of the music from Tempest 2000 on the Jaguar. The weapon power-ups are plentiful and there's a large variety of enemies to blast. This one definitely deserves to be ranked among the best Neo Geo shooters. I absolutely love this game. ZuPaPa. This one is a silly action game similar to Bubble Bobble where you grab these little critters and throw them to stunt enemies. Or, you know, if you prefer, you can just hit them to stun them, you know, your choice. But the question is, do you get more points for throwing them at enemies instead of just hitting them? I don't know, I wasn't even really looking at my score. I do love the bright and colorful graphics, but that sound effect when you catch the critter is very annoying. Not a bad game if you like this style. Okay, well, there you have it. 20 Neo Geo games that everyone has absolutely, completely, and totally forgotten about. I'm only kidding because surely there's a game or two here that you remember. And if so, please let me know down in the comments. Until then, I want to thank you for watching, take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.